The KSM Show.
Thank you. It's so good to be back, man. But today's show, very different. I'm going on an entirely different angle, you know. Coming up much later, we have this lady who's going to be talking to us about diabetes, man. Amazing information that you need to know about diabetes. Lydia Ajay-Frimpong is with us today, and she's coming much later. Once upon a time, I used to love birds a lot. I still do. And those of you who came to my house maybe 3-4 years ago, you realize I had an aviary of birds, and I had many birds. But I let them all go because I think they are freer in the world. But today, you'll be surprised, man. Today, I have the Ghana Wildlife Society in the house. Show them some love. And we're going to be talking about birds. And it will amaze you how important birds are to our whole ecosystem. Things that will baffle you, man. Can you believe that sometimes some of them can travel flying over 7,000 miles non-stop? Yeah, those are birds. But they're going to tell you more. And I have the pleasure to introduce first the Executive Director of the Ghana Wildlife Society. His name is Mr. Eric Lartey. Yes, love. Yes, sir. You got it. Hey, please. And coming up next is the Principal Program Assistant of the Ghana Wildlife Society. Show some love for Uncle David Daramani. All right. So this way, then we bump, then back, then we bump, and all right. Uncle David. Then the house, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Ghana Wildlife. Or as they say in Cree, we'll be right back.
The KSM Show.
We're back. And folks, today is going to be very, very exciting, very, very educative. And I want you to pay attention, you know, because there are some of the things that we disregard, but they happen to be some of the most important things that are part of our planet. And today, we're looking at the Ghana Wildlife Society, but we're focusing on birds, man. Enoma. Welcome to the studio, guys. Good to see you.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Good to see you too.
Great.
We are very honored to be on the KSM show.
Oh, it's a pleasure for me to host the Ghana Wildlife, man. And I'll start with you because you are the Executive Director. How long have you been with the Wildlife?
Barely 3 years now.
3 years?
Yes.
Okay. And in brief, your terms of reference are not as a director, but Ghana Wildlife generally.
Yes, I take oversight responsibility over the conservation programs and the entire management of the society.
Okay. And I call him Uncle Daramani, you know, because this man is 71 years old, though. Show some love, man. Let me tell you something, man. I've been hanging out with him because he's teaching me birds, and he's been taking me around, and he took us, and man, this man was walking like 5 miles. My breath! Now Uncle Daramani was still on the. Show him some love, man. Uncle D, where do you get your energy from?
Well, I stopped doing a lot of things. Yes, and I keep exercising.
You exercise?
Yes, and I walk a lot.
Wow.
The work we do is not in the office. It's in the forest.
It's in the forest.
And it has a lot of terrain. Some very difficult. But if you don't go there, you can't make a report. So you will have to do it, whether rain or shine.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. How long have you been with you've been with the Wildlife since the inception?
Yes.
You were part of the...
Part of it. I'm actually one of the founding members.
You're one of the founding members? Yes. Thanks a lot, man. Wow. But in all, how many years have you spent studying birds?
I started looking at birds when I was a child. Sometimes I don't feel happy to say it in public. But I used to shoot a lot of birds with a catapult.
Oh.
And I was very good at it. So when I joined Ghana Wildlife Department in 1966.
66 is when you joined?
Yes. I was recruited as a temporary laborer in Ghana Wildlife Department, not society. And they saw the potential in me as a birder. So I was drafted into, and we used to have a team from Aberdeen University coming there on a yearly basis for 3 consecutive years. So I was attached to the bird section. And that my first time of ever seeing a book on birds. It was a matter of looking through the pages and just memorizing the English names. Because I knew about 70% of the birds in that book already in my mind. So it was so easy.
To just blend in.
Exactly, blend in, and that's how come I've become an icon, sort of.
The guru of birds. And I see some internationally published books on birds in Ghana, and you were giving credit for your contributions.
I've helped a lot of researchers. Before, anybody who came here to do any research on birds, I was the key contact. And I will go out with them, pitch the nets, catch the birds. So there was no way they could write a report without making reference to me.
And we'll talk about it later, because people like President Carter, and you've taken them all around before.
Yes,
we'll get to that. But Eric, let me come to you. You know, something very interesting that you mentioned that intrigued me about how, of all the creatures, birds are the most studied, and how the study of birds teaches us about our own environment.
As we were discussing, birds are very important. They are everywhere. You can find birds everywhere, as opposed to animals belonging to other taxa, which can be found only in specific places, or which could be found in restricted places. Birds are everywhere, and they are the most widely studied taxon among all the taxa, plants and all the animals you can find.
Birds are the most studied.
They are the most studied because of their numbers and the geographical range. They can easily migrate from one point to the other, beyond borders. You can find birds beyond borders, and they can travel from one country to the others, one continent to another continent. And wherever you find birds, it tells you a lot of things, or a lot of stories about the environmental conditions or the state of the landscape or the habitat that you are interested in. So birds have become a very important proxy for biodiversity conservation, because in certain environments, when you see populations of birds declining, it tells you a lot about what is happening in the environment. It tells you perhaps you have pollution. There are incidents of the use of pesticides, because some of the birds may be feeding on insects and some particular plants. So when you introduce pesticides, it eliminates those particular insects, or which are a source of food for those birds. So when you eliminate them, it means automatically the birds cannot have sufficient food to feed on. So they may not be able to survive in certain environments.
And I know, and I must have heard it from you, that how right now there's a bit of concern because vultures are declining, and then I would think, pete so declining. I mean, what's the big deal, man? Pete, but it was a concern because it spoke something about the environment. Explain why. Number one, are vultures? Are we seeing a decline in vultures?
Yes, KSM, you agree with me that when you were kids, there were a lot of vultures when especially with the abattoirs. You find a lot of vultures, especially the hooded vultures, congregating at where you have those offals, intestines, and other things being disposed of. But now, even at the abattoirs, you find it difficult to find vultures, because we did not pay attention. Countries did not pay attention to the vultures, and they have been confronted with a lot of challenges or threats. They have been eliminated through poisoning, through persecution, through use of their body parts for rituals. So it's widely traded. Vulture parts are widely traded. Beyond Ghana, because there have been a lot of research which has pointed to conclusion that vulture parts, the trade routes are from Ghana, Mali to Nigeria.
They trade in vulture parts?
They trade in vulture parts. So all these factors or threats have contributed to decline in vulture populations. So all over the world, we have become very concerned about the drastic rate at which vulture populations are declining. Because in Ghana, we now have about 5 species of vultures. The commonest species is the hooded vulture. And even with the hooded vulture, you scarcely see them. Sometimes when I'm driving along the Independence Avenue, I see them congregating in front of the Flagstaff House. And I always feel happy with the vultures yes, during the evening. So.
Yeah. So the question is this. Okay. So if there's a decline on vultures, why should we be concerned? Does it...
vultures are natural scavengers because all the carcasses which will take, under normal conditions, will take a very long time to decay, and it has cost implications when you have to employ people to tidy up carcasses or dead meat which have been disposed, or rotten items which have been disposed of. Vultures would have done that work at a lesser cost. So
At no cost.
At no cost.
At no cost. It depends on their numbers. So they are natural scavengers. They clear the environment. They clean the environment. Filthy things that other animals will eat, which will kill them. Vultures, their alimentary canals are well adapted to digest those organic substances without any health implication on them. And because of that critical role they play, if their numbers start declining or start reducing, it means the country will need to spend a lot of money in employing people to clean those garbages that would have expected vultures to clean up.
Uncle David, so you, from what I gather, you know possibly every species of bird that has ever existed?
Not all of them, but those in Ghana, yes.
Those in Ghana.
But I also sometimes take time off to study birds from other countries.
What pushed you to study birds to that detail where you become an expert in every bird?
They are very interesting animals, and you find them everywhere, and they are beautiful, and they're, like you said, they are agents of a lot of things. Agents of dispersal of seed, agents of telling us the future, and agents of, bird feathers. You know, during the colonial times, you see queens and they put bird feathers just to beautify themselves, which was, now they won't do it. And I love birds. And there are a lot of people in the country now who are, I'm corrupting them.
To love birds.
To love birds. Because when I talk to them about birds, they don't believe that they were missing so much.
So the potential for tourism too is phenomenal. Eh?
It is.
You're
it is.
telling me some people travel to see a particular bird one time?
Yes. There is one particular bird here. It's called the white-necked picatatis.
White-neck?
Picatatis. It occurs in 5 African countries. Unfortunately, Ghana is one. And there are 2 types of them. One is only in Cameroon. You don't find it anywhere else. But the other one, which is the white-necked picatatis, is in 4 of the remaining countries, of which Ghana is one. And it's in the central region. There's an area in the central region. Every single day, many people go there.
To go and watch?
To go and look for it. And because of that, Before, we thought it has gone extinct. So in the early 80s, we mounted a search for it. And the villagers will say, anuma we cry no, edem pa na mo hia wo ho. They say, oh, mo behwe gold. And they will say, oh no, we will show the picture to them. They say, okay, we know where it is, and they will go and show us
where the bird is,
where it is, and we document it, and then eventually we put out the publication that this bird exists in A, B, and C places.
So you had tourists who came just to see the bird.
Up till today, anybody who is coming here to look for birds, that bird is his #1 priority. #1. All the other countries are not, they are not very peaceful. So people don't want to go there. They come here because Ghana is peaceful, and the inhabitants, Ghanaians are very friendly, and they want to help out in any circumstance.
So, Mr. Eric Lartey, you are in charge of this whole. How strong is Ghana in terms of tourism? Talking about birds, are we on the map with? Do people really troop in here, or we have to build it up further?
Yes, KSM, I think we have a long way to go. As a country, we have not been able to successfully take advantage of our birds, the various species we have, to attract tourists. Unlike places in East Africa, Kenya, and I mean, we can equally boast of many various species. The ones they have, we also have quite an appreciable number of species which we can use to leverage, to attract tourists. But we have not been able to do it, so we still have a long way to go. So it will take shows like this to
put it out there.
Yes, put it out there to convince the public to gain more interest.
Talking about gaining more interest, there's this birding activity that you have. Is it once every month? People can, you know, I want those who are watching, those who love birds, you can actually tell me a little bit about the whole experience. They gather and they go and watch birds.
Yes, so the Ghana Wildlife Society has chosen specific sites. I think there are 4 or 5. Four. Shire Hills, the Legon Botanic Gardens, Pambros Salt Industries, and then Dawinya Irrigation site. Yes.
So these are
the Sakumo Lagoon.
Sakumo Lagoon as well. But we are still exploring other sites which harbors quite a number of birds that
so all these sites have like different kinds of birds?
Yes. When you go to Pambros, you will see a lot of shorebirds, which you cannot see, and shorebirds, which you cannot find at Legon or Shire Hills.
Or Shire Hills. What kind of birds do you find at Shire Hills? Many.
I started the inventory for Shire Hills, and now we have a total of close to 200 species of birds in Shire Hills.
200 species?
Yes. Out of the 800 plus species that we have in the country.
Wow. Wow. And my favorite bird, the hornbills.
Oh. Well, hornbills, the name hornbill is like, their bills look like horns, curved down. And we have 13 species of hornbills.
In Ghana?
In Ghana. And out of the 13, 3 are restricted to the north. The Abyssinian ground hornbill, which is the biggest among the hornbills. And then the African grey hornbill, which you took shots of at the Botanical Garden. And then the northern red-billed hornbill, which was restricted even to the arid areas of the north, upper east and upper west. But now they are all over. Even we saw one in Legon, a lot of them in Legon Gardens, and one in Kolebu in the early 90s, we did a survey, urban-based survey, and we saw one in Kolebu. And I was wondering, because it's not a cage bird, that I would see that it escaped from somebody's cage. So I was wondering, and now they are all over. Then we have the forest zone, where we have all the big ones, Onwam, which is popularly the black cat hornbill, called Onwam in Chi. And then we have Asokwa, the white crested hornbill, and the Achinchina is the African pied hornbill, all in the forest zone. But you don't find them anywhere else apart from true forest.
Wow, fantastic, man. Mr. Lartey, finally, what will you say in closing about the need for the birds, keeping them, the whole birding expeditions? Is there a number they can call if they want to go on a trip with you and see the birds? Something to finally conclude on?
We are using this opportunity to encourage the public to show more interest in protecting nature and telling others about the value of nature we have in Ghana. Because as I have already mentioned, Ghana can boast of all kinds of animals, some of which are are endangered. They are critically endangered, like the vultures, which we need to protect, because it will be very sad to lose species. Our future generations will not forgive us if they are unable to meet some of the species we are talking about now. So it is important. Some are close to extinction. So we must protect them for the future generation to come and see. So the public must show interest. The private sector must also be ready to commit funds in protecting nature. So.
Okay. And Uncle D, what number can they call if they want to? Do you have it offhand?
My number is there, and we have a website.
Okay.
But my number is 0244 380026.
Okay.
And we are active on all the social media angles. On Facebook, Ghana Wildlife Society, on Instagram, and on Twitter. We are active on all these social media handles.
Okay. So there you go. You see all those information on the screen right now. And they are very active on all the social media. And then please give them a call. Take some time at the end of the month. Go and check out birds, man. And I'm telling you, it will amaze you. So, folks, thank you so much for coming and enlightening us on birds. We'll get you again, then we can get into the policy and other aspects that you guys are working on. We're good?
Thank you for having us.
Our pleasure. Stick around, folks. We will be right back.
The KSM Show.